Komicon, from the Mapuche, Komicon, which means to eat everything. This is a two-player abstract strategy game that's been played for generations by the Mapuche in Argentina and Chile. Centuries ago, they lived just off the south border of the Incan Empire, and they were partially conquered by them. In the year 1640, Juan Ignacio Molina was a Jesuit priest who was living in Chile. Among other things, he was one of the first Europeans to record seeing the aurora australis, or the southern lights. Well, some years later, 1887 to be exact, a book was written on the history of Chile. And Brother Juan was quoted in that book as saying, "There is a game that is played by the Mapuche that is their version of chess, and it's called Komicon." Of course, he originally said that in Spanish. He went on to say that sheep or goats moved forward step by step, and that a cougar or a puma was allowed to make several short leaps to capture that livestock. Now, Komicon may be the same game that's called Adugo, that's played by the Borobo people of Brazil. Their game is commonly called jaguars and dogs in English. The last Incan emperor, Atahualpa, is shown here in an illustration playing a board game in the Cajamarca jail with his Spanish guard shortly before his death in 1533. This is from a book written in 1615. It's not Comicon, from what we can tell, but it is a board game, and it shows that the Incan emperor was a gamer. But the association of Komicon with the Incas goes down through history, and in fact it's referred to sometimes as Incan chess. It's sort of a universal form, the predator versus prey. We've talked about a lot of predator versus prey games in my videos, and there are a lot more to look at. More from India, more from Africa, more from Northern Europe. It's just ubiquitous. In 1898, Stuart Coolin mentioned the game. H.J.R. Murray mentioned it in 1952, and they both cited South American sources, but they were pretty vague about that, and I haven't been able to track down those sources. Murray classified Komicon as a war game of which we have no certain knowledge. Well, since he wrote that in 1952, apparently we have more certain knowledge. And in the International Journal for the Study of Board Games, published in 1998, a couple of dozen pages are dedicated to the games of the Incas. In that journal, there's a lot of certain knowledge about this game. Meanwhile, here's the game. The Komicon game board has several familiar aspects, beginning with the square portion. It's a twin to the Alkirk's board. Added to this, however, is a smaller triangular subboard at one edge. There are a few variants in the configuration of this subboard, often called a den, where the predator begins the game. The standard triangular layout is this. This was described by Coolin in 1898. In 1919, an author named Matus described a Komicon board with this configuration. This layout is used in a game called Taptana. Another board was described in 1980 by Alcina Franch, a Taptana board with a heart-shaped triangular board and curved line connecting to a little circle that touches the Alkirk board. This board was found at Chinchero, Peru, near the capital Cuzco, scratched on a pre-Hispanic wall. I can sort of see it. Anyhow, the earlier description appears to be the most common for Komicon. It's a hunt game, predator versus prey, and like all hunt games, there are two unequal forces at play. In this case, one player has a single piece, usually called a puma or jaguar, or Komikelu, which means the one who eats everything. This predator can move one space at a time following the lines on the board, or may capture the other player's pieces by hopping over them. The other player has 12 pieces called sheep, or goats, or llamas, or perritos, which is Spanish for puppies. Yes, puppies. In this game, the predator moves first, and its objective is to eliminate half of the livestock. I hesitate to say eat the puppies, but history's not always pretty, is it? Anyway, the livestock, let's call them goats, they also move one space at a time. As usual, they cannot capture, but they attempt to surround and immobilize the predator. Or, if the goats can occupy all 7 points inside the predator's den, they also win. This carries on turn by turn until one player achieves their objective. As far as I know, nobody's ever published a commercial version of Komicon. I have seen a few pictures online of people who have bought souvenirs from South America. I have seen a few handmade versions of the game and some print and play, but that's all I've found. I definitely encourage you to give them a try, and be sure to play every day.